This video is about art and science, the natural world and coloured shadows. While painting, we've probably all created muddy colours by accident, accidentally mixing opposite colours together, the colours that cancel each other out. Can these mistakes be useful? What can science and our artist forebears tell us about going dark without using black? We know that artists have been careful observers of the natural world for many thousands of years. The amazing drawings of animals in the Chauvet Cave in southern France from more than 30,000 years ago show us this, as do the detailed observations of sea life in the mosaics of Pompeii buried under volcanic ash nearly 2,000 years ago. 600 years ago, Renaissance mathematicians and artists developed linear perspective, which creates the illusion of 3D space on a flat surface, a technique known to ancient Greeks and Romans, but never recorded until the 15th century. And then, only 200 years ago, Isaac Newton's discovery of the colour spectrum, with its revelation that white light is comprised of colours, opened up new worlds of colour for artists. Newton's light spectrum led to more scientific colour wheels and new techniques for mixing complementary and intermediate colours that had a huge influence on 19th century artists. One of the artists excited and inspired by these ideas was Eugène Delacroix in France. He looked at the world now with fresh eyes. What he observed was that deep shadows and their paler halftones are not grey or black as art had presumed, that they are coloured, and that this is especially true in the halftones, the halfway shadows, or the shaded hues between full shadow and full light on any object. Consequently, Delacroix changed his oil painting technique in several ways, and this came to influence other artists immensely. First, he studied artists using watercolour and pastels because their techniques were better at layering colours than oil paint, and he wanted to emulate their techniques in his oil painting. Second, he developed a technique of underpainting, or laying in, as he said, to introduce colour as the foundation to every area of the painting. He described this as laying in the whole painting in subdued colours, as if the whole scene was being viewed on a very dull, cloudy day. This created opportunities for much brighter colours in the finished painting, in the top layers, because every bright brushstroke would be sitting on top of a muted complement to it, thus creating a vibrant surface of colour contrasts between underpainting and top painting. Third, he created the halfway shadows, the half tones, by using the opposite colour of the object, its complementary colour, thus making even the shadows to be luminous with colour. In a video, it's very difficult to show what these techniques look like in Delacroix because we lose the subtlety. It's the same for any oil painting from this period. They reproduce poorly in video. It's much easier to see in watercolours, and we'll look at Cézanne in a minute. So why am I showing this? Because Delacroix's joy in creating coloured halftones and shadows, his wonder and discovery in the middle of the 19th century, was so astonishing and influential that we must remember his name. And if you have the good fortune to visit an art museum that is showing Delacroix's paintings, go and look for yourself. Stand in front of them, peer as closely as you can to those shady halftones and see the colour effects that he achieved. 50 years further on, and influenced by Delacroix, if we look at a still life by Paul Cézanne, we can see these complementary colour effects more clearly and more simply. See here how the shadows and the halftones are each made of two, often opposite colours layered together. The blue shade on the blue and white picture on the left also has a layer of red, almost purple, as if reflected from the fruit. And the deeper red shade on the left side of the fruit has a touch of blue, as if this colour is reflected up from the shadow next to it. Considering all of this, what are my 2 tips for art students? Tip number 1. Mark up a grid and then layer your complementary colours one on top of the other to see how red mixes with green or purple mixes with yellow. Try this for every type of paint that you've got, because you will find that watercolours, temperas, poster paints, acrylics will all behave differently. Make notes on your grid about how you mix them so that you can use them later as reference sheets when you're painting. Tip number 2 is about looking at the world. When you're observing the natural world, expect to find that shadows are coloured. Look for these colours. Look for how they're formed and where they come from. Look at the world with new eyes. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click like and share it. If you want to see more short videos with art tips, art projects and lesson ideas, please subscribe to my channel, Rob the Art Teacher.